of Partnership Development and Education here at STARS Design Group. So I'm wearing both hats this evening. And I am absolutely thrilled to invite you all here and welcome you all here this evening. Yes. So a good question is, how did we get here? How did we get to have this fashion and tech event this evening? And this really was an idea, a vision that I took to Emily Hemingway, as you know, is the executive director of STL Tech Week. And she was on board right away. She's like, this is brilliant, fashion and tech. We are the only fashion and tech event for STL Tech Week. So yay, yay to fashion. So welcome to Quantum Runway, the intersection of fashion and tech. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to recognize some key individuals. First of all, my partner in crime, Saba Desta. She is the brand, yes. She is the marketing and branding manager here at STARS Design Group, and she has been absolutely instrumental in helping pull this event off. So Saba, thank you very much. And also a special thank you to STARS Design Group, where we are this evening in this beautiful building. A special thank you to Brett and Emily for agreeing to host this event. So when Saba and I went and said, yeah, woo, when Saba and I said, hey, can we do this event here? It just seems like this would be an incredible opportunity to share about fashion and tech. And Brett and Emily were like, well, of course. And Brett and I go back many years. And one thing that Brett and I have always kind of, I guess, our common denominator is that we always said fashion and tech are just this amazing marriage, and that it was just like we always talked about fashion and tech. So to have this event here this evening and talking about fashion and tech with all of you is really special, not only for all of us, but I think especially for Brett and Emily as well in STARS Design Group. To our live stream partner, we are live streaming tonight. So please, if you have friends that couldn't make it because they didn't buy a ticket, because we are a sold-out event, please share with them that we are live streaming, and also to your friends and family that are out of town so they can participate with us. So that's Timor and Doer House that are our live stream partners, and I'd like to thank them. And I also want to do a little shout out to Timor. So Timor is actually in the fashion industry as well. He is the president of Black Fashion Week. So every November, he puts on Black Fashion Week, and this year, I believe, it's the 10th year. So cheers to him. And then our food sponsors. So if you haven't had a chance to get a bite of food, please, the food is absolutely amazing. And this was a phone call that happened with Dee's Place, that's our neighbor here in Soulard. And Dean was like, yeah, I'll come over and check out the space. And sure enough, he has sponsored all of the food and also our signature cocktail this evening. So thank you so much, Dee's Place. Yeah. And if you get a chance during Tech Week, if you get hungry, lunch, dinner, late night drinks, go visit Dee's Place. And of course, Urban Chestnut Brewery is always a supporter of the community and of our events. So we want to thank Urban Chestnut as well for providing the beer. So I think I've hit everybody. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate you being here. Quick housekeeping, bathroom is located in the back. And with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Emily Lane, who is our Chief Strategy Officer here at STARS Design Group, and she is going to take you on an amazing journey with our panelists this evening. Thank you very much.
Is my microphone picking up? Aha! Give it a second to work out the levels. Thank you all for joining us today. It is exciting to see everybody here that shares this passion between how do fashion and technology play together. And I think it's only going to continue to become more increasingly interwoven with each year. And we have a wonderful group of panelists that will help us get a glimpse into the best of what's happening now and what we can see happening in the near future. With that, I would love to welcome my panelists. We have Brett Schnitger, CEO of STARS Design Group. Brett, will you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Brett Schnitger. I'm CEO and President of STARS Design Group. We're celebrating our 25th year in the business. Our foundation is talent and technology. It's been crucial in every step we take, so it is exciting to be talking about that tonight. I'm also co-host on Clothing Culture. It's a podcast now celebrating its 4th year. We're celebrated in over 100 countries, 150,000 industry listeners. We urge you guys to subscribe and grow that community.
Cheryl Smyer. We love Cheryl. She wears multiple hats, much like our good friend Audra. She is the VP of Advanced Materials at Parkdale Mills, but she's also a part of CiCLO, which will become a big part of our conversation tonight. Cheryl, please.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you, Brett, for having me. I am thrilled to be here. This is only my 2nd time in St. Louis, and I'm in love. So love everyone here tonight, and thank you for spending this 1 hour with us. My background is in yarn manufacturing. 30 years. I have only been in the textile industry in my entire career. And it's one of those things that draws you in and you can never leave. I don't know about the other veterans in the textile industry. At Parkdale, and we are based in Gastonia, North Carolina, we're the largest spun yarn manufacturer in the Western Hemisphere. Yes, we still do exist. We are based in North Carolina. We have the honor of having 25 manufacturing facilities located in the US, but also Colombia, South America, Mexico, and Central America. And really the 2 main pillars of our company are people. People. You can do a lot with people who are motivated and passionate about what you do. The second piece is innovation. And in terms of where innovation fits in with textiles and with fashion, and I can't wait for you guys to hear what these guys have to say. It's incredible. But at Parkdale in particular, we have robots that I didn't know existed. We have robots that really are driven like with Tesla-like intelligence. And I invite all of you, if you're ever find yourselves in North Carolina, come on and let's see a yarn manufacturing facility. And the second piece of what my passion is polymer and fiber technology. And under Parkdale, we have an advanced materials division. Actually, it was created to service our other 2 divisions, our yarn manufacturing and our consumer products division. Really, we felt like there was very little innovation in fiber and in polymer technology. And so we took it upon ourselves as we produce somewhere around 15 million pounds of yarn per week, most of that being in polyester. We felt very responsible for what's happening in the environment and the contaminants and the pollution that the textile industry is unfortunately a part of. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Thanks for having me.
Excited to invite our good friend Garrett Gearson. He is the founder and CEO of Variant 3D. And we had an opportunity to visit your home office and home, your beautiful place in California.
We want it to be our home.
We do. And we were just absolutely amazed by your laboratory there, the place of discovery that has led to the incredible innovations that you're behind. Please share a little more about yourself.
Emily, thank you. Thanks for setting this up, and thank you all for having me. My name is Garrett Gerson. I'm the founder and CEO of Variant 3D. We are a technology platform, a software company, and we've created a software that knits, and it allows you, everyone's talking about 3D printing, and this is the closest that we will get to 3D printing a real textile that we all know, that we wear and look at every day. And it really is going to be powered by the platform that we are building. So we're a team of 24 now around the world. We've got some of the best engineers, both on the software side, from physics simulation to yarn and fiber. And what you do is the foundation, right? Everything we always start with is the yarn, the fiber, and from there you grow that into the program and into the final product. What I'll show you, and in a second here, is just parts of our software platform, how it really is going to open up a lot of opportunity in this space. So those of you who don't know knitting, just for context, 70% of everything we wear is made in this particular method of manufacturing. it's global. A lot of it is not here in the U.S. There have been and there are some small factories popping up within the U.S. that we are working with to deliver programs. And just really quickly, like the why, like why did I get into this? So just to, and I'll make it short, is I've been in the textile and fashion business for over 20 years. Started when I took over our family business in the hospitality company, which was a hospitality company, and that, making uniforms and buying fabric was kind of the origination of where I started. Did that for 15 years, and I watched a documentary called The True Cost. And if you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. It actually, so I watched it 3 times, and I told the director, Andrew Morgan, your documentary changed the whole trajectory of my life, because after that I sold my company to my partner, took that money and went out to see if I could, actually 3D print and onshore manufacturing, be sustainable, actually, not, I wanted to make sure that you could actually validate your supply chain. And this is what has led to this. So 7 years ago, I started the company. 2 of the 7 years was me learning how to program, finding mentors. And the last 5, my co-founder and I have built this incredible company. Today, we are currently working with all the biggest footwear and sportswear brands. We're working in the automotive industry, aerospace, medical. It's really exciting, and I've got to meet these amazing people here, and they've introduced me to St. Louis. And our hope is that we can bring manufacturing here to St. Louis and let this be the hub, because it's such an amazing city. The way it's orientated, the companies that are in the area really could use this as a platform to make domestically manufactured products. So let me run through this. I just launched this 2 weeks ago at another tech conference. I'm excited to share with you all. This is the Variant 3D. Well, let me see. Yeah, we can advance to the next slide.
Which means that every year your fabrics have to arrive on that date, and to do that they have to be ordered in this date, and to have your sketches in on that date so that you can have this fitting, that fitting, and that fitting, so the clothes can be ready on this date. And that never changes. It is relentless. You don't even get to finish one collection before you have to start the next one, because they now overlap so that there's a flow of merchandise into the store, so the customers can shop every 2 months and go in and find something new. So being creative on demand, because sometimes you just can try, but you don't have a new idea. And you have to, on October 14th, you have to have 60 new ideas to hand into the factory.
So that's just on a high level the problem, right? And what you just saw there is actually a modern footwear factory. And most of you don't know that the shoes we wear, there's something like 35 to 40 people that actually touch your shoes and assemble and put them together. That new shoe smell you smell is actually toxic glues that you're smelling. And that's, we associate that with a new shoe, but in essence, if it smelled like nothing, that is what the future of footwear should look like. And we don't pervasively talk about that versus fast fashion, but it is an incredibly resource intensive and pollutive industry. And this is how we're solving the problem. So right now, what we're able to do is you're able to take a structure white or any type of scanner. We use a structure white light scanner. We scanned our model. Our software, you pull that triangulated mesh into our software platform. We have proprietary algorithms that'll break it down and pull it in. This all happens instantaneously. We can segment out for this. This is a legging that I'm going to show you. We segment out the torso and the feet. And here, there are only 2 seam lines. And what's significant about this is that each one of those different colors are actually different fabrics. So if you look at like Lululemon or Aloe leggings or any type of legging, everywhere you've got a zone for compression or support or lift, those are all different seam lines. We can actually print all of that in one simulation. And then the way we've built the platform, because it's based on the fiber yarn level, we can actually abstract a high fidelity 3D model. So again, it's, today we design, in 2D, right? You create a pattern, you wrap it around a form or a model, you then unwrap it, right, to cut and sew it, then you sew it back up and you put it on somebody to try it on. And that's the process. It's very, it's very time intensive. There's a lot of waste in the process. So what we're doing is going from 3D to 3D. We're 3D forms. Our world is 3D. And the amazing thing is this is the actual legging here in real life. And if you look at it, there are no seams in the crotch, in the inner leg, We've moved all those seams to the outside. What is revolutionary about this garment, it's actually made it on a footwear machine. So typically, in order to make a legging like this, you need a much larger machine or a special type of machine to make it. Those shoes, which we don't show the video in this because we're limited on time, but those shoes were actually, we leveraged generative AI to create that shoe, both the design upper and also the outsole. That's a monomaterial shoe, meaning a single material. It's the most sustainable type of shoe that you can make, is 100% of it's recyclable. We can go to the next slide here. I think there's our. Oh no, we can do that later. Okay. So, anyways, I'm happy to share a bit more. I'll answer some more questions, but really, it is a new design language. You're able to design anywhere in the world. In a big part of what we want to do is democratize the industry. You know, we all draw inspiration not behind a computer, behind a desk, right? You draw inspiration when you go to a museum, when you're out in nature, right? I always had a dream that, you know, and our team as well, that you could design anything anywhere, right? From your iPad, your laptop, and be able to effectively in that 3D model form, which you saw there. And I'll show you, there's another demo I'll show you that is much more complex, that'll highlight the complexities of what we're solving for. But all of that wrapped up in that 3D model are all the design inputs. It's a digital tech pack that can go to manufacturing. So that is the major difference, right? So if those of you know CiCLO or any of these other design softwares, they're amazing to create a visual tool of what you want to design. But it doesn't alleviate the fact that you have to then go make a pattern, fit it, try it on, then put it. It's a piece of a tech pack that goes to a factory. What we're working on doing is that digital file, that 3D model, will actually plug directly into a machine and make that product for you.
These to work through. So, and, well, we're also excited to welcome Caroline Williard, a pioneer and celebrated designer that we are lucky enough to have here in St. Louis.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Emily. I'm so honored to be here tonight, guys. Like, there are some credible people up here, and I just feel so humbled. I'm a local St. Louis designer since 2010. I specialize in bridal, special occasion, children's wear, and bespoke. I do a lot of customized stuff for people. And I, have always done things by hand myself. I'm one person show. So the idea of having a way of like having 3D minimize waste, right? Save time, be something that the client can look at and even see in motion, like fabric movement, lace detail, without actually having to purchase the fabric or having to do anything outside of like between me and the client, and they can see it in real time. So I had the honor of working with Fashion Week San Diego last year, and they were partnered up with Apparel Intelligence out in California. And they were looking for a designer that was interested in sustainability and eco-conscious fashion. And I was somebody that they chose, which I was really honored to, they asked me to do this. And I was like, are you sure? Me? I'm over here in St. Louis, And so it was really cool to represent my city out in, the West Coast area. And so Apparel Intelligence, what they did was they took as you see here, this is Posh. This is a virtual avatar of a real person. So this is where the future is. People are going to start being able to make an avatar of themselves with their own measurements, their own skin texture, hair color. And what's really neat is you're going to be able to, try things on at different stores virtually, And so this is the future. So this is the first time ever a virtual avatar was actually signed onto a modeling agency. So this had never happened before. So this actual model here can get paid and can get designs on her, and she can walk on the runway, which she did last fall in San Diego. So what I got to do was I asked the model in real life, RJ White, I asked her what she would like me to make her. And so she wanted something tropical, something kind of sexy and fun. And I remembered I made this print a long time ago. And so it was funny because the Parallel Intelligence did not even have my Illustrator file. So they asked me to just send a piece or a sample of the fabric that I had. And actually, luckily, I still had it in a bin somewhere. So I was able to send them a piece of the fabric, and they were able to use high definition photography and recreate the butterflies for me. And so I was able to print it on fabric and make this design for her. So I'm sorry about the low definition quality here of the picture, but so it was really neat at Fashion Week San Diego because the avatar model walked on the runway and so did the model. So it was just really cool to see both of that in action and how, like, I mean, this is something that is going to be seen now all the time, I think, in the future.
Great. Well, I'm excited to start getting into the deep end of some questions that's happening in our industry. I'd like for us to start with the complexities of the industry. We could take the whole night on this, but we'll try to keep it brief because we have a lot of wonderful topics to cover. Brett, I'm going to start with you. Our industry has long been challenged with vanity fit. You go to a store, you're not sure what size you're going to be unless you're really familiar with the brand, and it can vary style by style. And with the advent of e-commerce becoming a bigger part of the consumer's dollars now, it gets even more complicated. This is increasing returns for retailers. People are bracketing, so they're buying more than one size. Therefore, guess what? More returns. And there are companies that are saying at this point their e-commerce has become just marketing because this is such a big problem. What kind of technologies are out there that can help boost consumer confidence, help ensure that you've got fit narrowed down for your customer, and transparency of fit is very clear?
Yeah, certainly as we evolve online, these situations get created where, when you were walking into a store and trying things on, women have certainly known forever that you go from brand to brand, sizes change all the time. Men kind of find their favorite and stick with it, because we hate trying things on. But as we move into an online environment, if you're not familiar with the brand, you have all these challenges, and technology comes up and finds a way to solve these. We work with Janice Wong, Al-Anon. We've worked with her for a number of years. She started in 2001. She scans thousands of bodies around the world. She has these unique algorithms that create these multiple points of fit based upon the average consumer today. And then they create these kind of expensive mannequins, and also build that into a virtual space where we build 3D designs. We've been doing that for a long time too, with a science-based fit. The challenge in the industry is that you've got to figure out a way for the industry to come together and have consistent fit and sizing, because even though you have all of this science, not everyone adopts it. There's always nuance to fit. That's where other technologies come in and play. On our podcast, we interviewed Whitney Cathcart. She's the co-founder for 3D Look. Today in our phones with LiDAR technology, you can take 2 photos with 3D Look and over 80 points of measure. The technology can capture over 80 points of measure. For partnerships with 3D Look, and there are other companies doing similar things, you load those points of measure, or you load the points of measure of the garments, and it actually tells you which size you should buy, reducing returns and exchanges. So technology continues to find a way, and there's multiple different things happening all the time, which is really exciting in our industry as the challenges come up.
You talk a little bit about Alvanon and 3D Look, and those are platforms. Well, 3D Look especially is incorporating AI, which is finding its way in multiple points of our industry today. We talk about e-commerce and the rise of all these packages getting delivered every day, and we are seeing a kind of congestion in that last mile delivery. What's happening in this space?
Yeah, so you've all experienced it, right? Amazon says we'll deliver tomorrow, and then you see a guy 2 days later show up in a little U-Haul, and you're like, what the hell is going on? We've got a huge challenge. We've all adopted this kind of shop at home mentality. The statistics are pretty startling. 1 billion packages every year come into the US from overseas ports. Of that, 1 million packages a day are in the fashion business. You combine that with the packages that are transiting, 100 million packages a day are transiting throughout the United States, and you can see that we're hitting a logistical wall. And again, technology comes to help. There are companies that are coming to figure out solutions, understanding streamlined routing, partnership of small parcel carriers. When these challenges exist, there's got to be solutions because there's only so much bandwidth. Again, one of the podcasts we had with Mike Robinson at Eighth Notch, they're figuring out ways to consolidate shipping lanes and consolidate trucks so that there's this streamlined route. And so every step along the way, AI and technology is helping our industry solve these challenges.
That's great. And that will have a future benefit with helping with carbon emission challenges, which that will be the next topic that we will take on. But right now, Garrett, I have a question for you. Robotic knitting, the idea of robots, making our clothes. It sounds very, very futuristic, but in all reality, this technology has been in play for several decades. One of the key challenges that is kind of this secret in the industry, that to teach that robot how to make that garment, that programming behind it takes a very long time. But you've cracked the code on that. Can you give us a little background and discovery on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a video as well that can help kind of walk you all through what we're talking about. So the software, how I ventured into this industry was because I was, while looking at, there's 5 machine manufacturers that make all the machines that supply the world's supply of. Hold on one sec. Before you skip to this, let's go back really quick. That manufacture all the machines that produce the textiles in this format. There's Stoll, Shima, Steiger, which was bought by Chinese manufacturer Xixing, and then Santoni and Lenati, which make circular knit machines. When I was looking out there in the industry, I ended up buying a Stoll. I was on 42nd Street at their studio, and they said, it's very easy. You buy the machine, you buy the software, you plug it in, you take 2 weeks, of course, and we'll teach you how to program in our CAD system, and you'll be off making fly-knit shoes or these crazy things. I said, wow, that's fantastic. So I wrote a check, sent it off. Something $250,000 is what I spent at the time. And 6 months later, the thing showed up, and I plugged it in. I called them. I said, hey, I think my software program's broken because it doesn't look like what you showed me. Oh, I said, don't worry. You come to Germany for a couple of weeks. It's like, oh, okay. And we'll teach you, and you'll be making all this stuff. No problem. Got on a plane, went there. Was more confused. So I had to I found a mentor that helped me and taught me for 2 years how to program it. And when I started to realize, if you want to be a master knitwear engineer, right, and really understand this, like, it takes anywhere from 15 to 20 plus years, and you typically work for a large company, a large sportswear brand or a large company, and you work on a very small subsect of what that is. And you do the math, and I was like, it took me about 2 months to make a sweater. I was like, you start doing the math there, and I was like, it's going to take me years to create a collection. It's not going to work. So I started working on a software platform. So what I'm going to show you is, I can show you this as we did this for Ferrari. I was in Milan 6 months ago showing this to the team out there. This will show you how complex the 3-dimensional shapes we're able to create. And so we can import in a car seat. This is the 3D model. This is our software, what we can expose to you. This is all the design, like each one of those colors are different structures, right? And then we can upload a logo. Each one of those are zones with different fabric types that are printed in one simulation. So this is a single piece of fabric. This would take 6 months, by the way, for a senior engineer to be able to program the first prototype. We then break up in the dark blue lines, the different fabric, and then that's the kind of light blue line in the middle is the direction of knitting. All of those can have different stitch densities. That's different fabric types. What you see on the far left there, that's the actual program that an engineer needs to program to create this 3-dimensional shape. So if you can imagine, you need to figure out what that looks like in your mind. That's why these engineers are so valuable. Is they can see that, abstract that into this 3-dimensional shape. Me, no way. I was using Excel spreadsheets. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I think I'm fairly smart, but that was well beyond me. So this is the actual program here. Each one of those blank spots is called goring or transfers. And what that does is it creates shape in the fabric and allows you to wrap that three-dimensional shape around the physical form. That's our offline visualization tool. This is what we are striving for, and we'll bring this online. But you can see the details. So they're ottoman stitches. You can see the logo. You can see imperfections on this. And the whole idea is when you design, I mean, we live in a three-dimensional world. When you design, you should be able to design in 3D. That's how I want to design, right? I want to be able to move a line, right? But the problem is if you were to do that, you have to do that on that very jagged looking form. Figure out where that is. You're counting on the needles, like how many stitches and where, you have to try to figure out where that is. What happens is you actually make sometimes hundreds, if not, hundreds of samples off the machine, and all that takes time and material. There's tons of waste in that. So all this will clean up that waste. So the complexity, Emily, lies in like just having the time to do this. But it has been a glass ceiling for the industry, and I'm happy to say that we are with a lot of amazing partners. We're working with really incredible people out of MIT, Jim McCann's team out of Carnegie Mellon, Genevieve out of Drexel, right, and UPenn. There's amazing talent, NC State, right? There's great, amazing universities that are doing this work, and we get to work with those incredible people to really commercialize something that, what our goal is in the next, year and a half or so, that will be available to everybody. Right now, we use it as an internal tool. We are onboarding large customers onto this platform, learning a lot, creating really refining the software. And then the goal is that this will be available to everybody. 6 months becomes a day.
Yeah.
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 So, and the same thing with footwear too, right? What you don't realize is the amount of time and effort, energy, and material that goes into your shoe. It takes 3 to 5 months to design a knit shoe, right? The iterative cycle, because what you give to even in a tech pack, what you give to a factory isn't always what you get back, and that's what creates this iterative cycle of going back and forth. What we're able to do is with really on the first iteration, maintain the designer's intent. So it's so you get what you want, or we can offer them options, right, in real time in a visual simulation. They make choices. And that is speeding up and saving a ton of waste.
Yeah, and it's such accurate visualization. So, which is a really good transition point for you, Caroline. We saw in an earlier video, Tom Ford talking about how consumer demand, there's a ton of pressure. People want more, they want it now, and they expect it now. So there's a ton of pressure to constantly be ideating, creating, producing. For you, by bringing 3D into your process, how has that helped you from a creative standpoint? And are you noticing that you're also able to kind of improve your turnaround time, reduce waste?
Yeah, absolutely. Normally, you'd have to do a mock-up for a client. So you're using either the same fabric or a muslin fabric, and you're making this mock-up, which can take, depending on what the, garment is, it could take literally weeks. So being able to do this 3D and then getting to also show your client how it would look like on them without them having to ever try it on. So it's saving them time. It's saving, so much fabric. When you design something, it's not always done perfectly the first time, and so you have to sometimes alter it, and then you're using more fabric, and it's also labor intensive, your hands, your back, your body. So being able to just take those just things off your plate and using technology to show your client how it would look on them is it's game changing. Time, money, energy, everything. So
You've mentioned waste. That is a core conversation in the sustainability thread. And the fashion industry has long been acknowledged that we are key contributors to the sustainable problems. This in itself is complicated. There's a consumer problem, and then there's the industry problem. From a consumer standpoint, it's speculated that by 2030, we will be consuming the resources of 2 Earths. I think we just have one, so there's a little bit of a challenge. In the United States alone, landfills receive approximately 11.3 million tons of apparel. The industry also is a key player here. We produce about 100 billion garments per year, and that results in 92 million tons of textile waste. That textile waste are, there's samples, there's cuttings on the cut and sew floor, there's fabric that isn't perfect, there's lots of different things that are contributing to this challenge. I'd like to talk to you, Brett, on the sustainability side of things. How do you think technology is reshaping sustainability in traditional fashion processes such as design, fit, manufacturing, and what is your experience in helping to stay progressive in this space?
Yeah, you've seen evidence here tonight. I mean, all of these things are happening in our space. You know, STARS has been doing 3D design, pattern-based design for over 15 years. You know, we recognize that that was a huge challenge. And it was funny, I had a story, and Susan's here, but we had a group of designers from the Fashion Fund come in and visit our place a couple years ago, more than a couple, pre-COVID. And I sat down and I said, I'd love to hear about your journey and tell me about your creative process. And they were talking about the tactile feeling and experience the development, how wonderful it was. And I just prompted them. I said, you know, how do you think technology plays in the role of your creation? And, you know, they were like, it's soulless, it's cold, you know, we're creatives, we love to touch and feel. And I kept my mouth shut for a while and let them go through their process. And I said, okay, now it's time to talk a little about STARS. And I brought up our 3D. We partner with Browseware out of Singapore. It's an Israeli-based technology. And Sharon Lim created this amazing process. There's multiple choices out there today, but we happen to love Browseware. And you start with a pattern file. There's this scientific basis for fit. You build forward and you get these amazing renditions in 3D, much like what you've seen this evening. And I started showing these designers and they got really excited. They're like, oh my God, the costs that we have to build all of our prototypes, we could do that all in 3D, and we could creatively, you know, in a virtual space, create all of our designs, saving all of these costs. And when it comes to, you know, the whole sustainable conversation, prototyping is an amazing drain on resource, on fabrications and time, et cetera. And that's one of the real key ways that I'm seeing happening even on this stage. 3D is accelerating thought processing, creativity. On one of our podcasts, one of the pioneers in 3D design, Valentin Karabanov, he's based in Israel. And he started this whole process 20, 25 years ago. And he talks about this amazing Israeli designer and came in and he was pretty avant-garde. He created some pretty astounding, you know, designs. And he was hitting Paris Fashion Week and he was going out to do the whole runway show. And he went to Valentin, he says, I want to create everything in 3D. And Valentin, this pioneer who'd been doing 3D, was nervous. His basis was being a tailor, and he was like, okay, but we'll go through it, you know, and they went through the process. He created all this amazing stuff. And the designer said, okay, send the files to the atelier in Paris. They're going to go create the stuff, and we're going to hit the runway a week from now. And Valentin, he goes, I actually started sweating. I didn't even trust the process myself. And I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? You know, don't you think you want to drape some, you know, garments and make sure? And he goes, no, I trust the process. And Valentin, you know, was just like, okay. Sure enough, it went off without a hitch. And that was 20 years ago. The technology has rapidly expanded. And we're seeing this whole conversation about phygital today. Digital and physical, the combination between phygital design. We're seeing that online and, you know, and avatars, the digital presence is growing. And Valentin, this stuck with me and it stuck with me forever. He goes, pixels don't fill landfills. And so he's like, as we see this evolution coming into our space and designers finally get a piece of the tech action when it comes to digital fashion, that's exciting. And so that's one of the steps. And I think that there's a number of other things, AI solving a lot of those different aspects too, in terms of carbon neutrality and all of that. So,
Garrett, there is an opportunity for the robotic knitting and 3D that can really contribute to solutions here, such as zero waste manufacturing. what are some of the biggest hurdles that brands have trying to adopt this technology?
Well, I mean, I think it's being able to find the talent to be able to program the machines. I mean, that is the biggest, in order to create a collection or, build a brand, you need to have a fairly large team to be able to do that. You need to be able to find an engineer. You need to be able to create a program. You need to buy a machine. You need to be able to plug into a manufacturing factory. So, I mean, what we're building, what we're solving for is everything you see in the 3D file, like you saw that Ferrari car seat. Everything embedded in that car seat, in that digital design, is actually the machine code to be able to manufacture that product. So we're doing the same thing in footwear, where you can bring in, and so the idea is, right, and how we're solving for it, it's the hub of digital design, right? So you'll be able to use all the same. We're not going to take away or say you have to use our version of Photoshop, Illustrator, Rhino, or 3D CAD systems. We all love those tools. It should be able to enable you, so you can pull in, 3D curves from Rhino now. So we have an API plugin. You can create your outsoles and see what a full shoe looks like. And what we're able to do is then break apart that product, and then it could go to a 3D printer and go to a manufacturer to make at scale. The other thing is you treat the machines, what some of the other issues is you treat the machines like 3D printers, right? So it's about setting them up so you don't have the downtime of resetting up the machine. So now with what we're doing with the legging that you saw, is that machine can now make a shoe, can make a legging, can make a bag or accessory, can make something for the interior design space, furniture covers. I mean, it is really, the things that we're working on, the medical space, in aerospace, in semiconductors, textiles are everywhere. I mean, I think we all realize this, and what you're doing is really amazing. I can't wait for you to talk about that. But it is, textiles are amazing because quite frankly, we're born wrapped in textiles. Our whole life is surrounded by textiles, and then we die wrapped in them as well. And it's just now taking that language of design and that artistic feel and being able to abstract it in something that's more understandable.
So speaking of textiles, let's talk about polyester. Polyester, nylon, some of these synthetic fibers, they're a part of our daily wear anymore. People love them for their performance characteristics. But and it's a high percentage of the fibers that are produced. 111 million metric tons of fiber produced this year. More than 60% of that was polyester. And that's creating a huge challenge because of its inherent nature. Polyester is essentially plastic, and it's estimated that that will take around 500 years to biodegrade. But there are other challenges to that, such as shed. Shed happens. I would love for you to talk about CiCLO technology and how it is solving some of these poly problems, with regards to biodegradability and the shedding of microparticulates, which is becoming a big conversation today.
Thank you, Emily. When we think about our clothes and we wash them and we use them and we manufacture them, unfortunately, in every one of those steps, shedding takes place. When we're dealing with wool and cotton and silk and natural fibers, linens, these microfibers that are shed from the main textile construction, if they end up as pollutants in the environment, they biodegrade because natural microorganisms are capable of biodegrading natural fibers. What happens with polyester, nylon, acrylic, all of these man-made fossil fuel-based polymers is that their polymer structure is too large and complex, and natural microorganisms are unable to break them down. It can take 500 years. You know what? We don't even know yet, right? Polyester came around in the 1950s. It really became a globally commercialized in the 60s. And I'm sure that every single polyester garment that's been in the landfill is still there. But most importantly, and I know that all of you are keenly interested in what's going on in the textile industry and the fashion, is the microplastics that end up in the ocean those are there and they're not going to biodegrade for centuries and centuries. And there's more research showing and really the medical research has just started to really try to understand the impact to the human body, as well as obviously our marine health. And these microfibers are coming from synthetic textiles. As a matter of fact, 35%, so the largest contributor of microplastics in the ocean is coming from textiles. So we decided we needed to do something about that. Andrea Ferris is the fearless co-founder of the technology. She had the idea back in 2012. And together with our company in 2018, we formed a JV. The technology is CiCLO. It's not on that screen, but it was on the previous screen. It is essentially what we're doing is we're transforming the polymer structure of a polyester or a synthetic material to behave like a natural fiber when it ends up in the environment as a pollutant. So a lot of you are probably wearing cotton or wool, and you're wearing those garments, and they're not right. They're not going to biodegrade in your closet. They're not going to biodegrade where you wash them or dry clean them. They will exist as long as you will allow them to exist in your closet. The same thing with CiCLO polyester. We are giving that polymer structure, that polyester, the ability to perform. Why do we love polyester? Because we can actually impart such functionality in polyester. We can give it moisture management. We can give it temperature regulation. We can give it antibacterial properties. We can inject the ability to move blood and really bring healing properties. So polyester is truly an incredible polymer. It's scaled, really, it's the largest, right? 67% of our global manufacturing of synthetic material. So, and we love it, and we're going to continue to use it because we love our leggings and we love our shoes that are made out of polyester filament yarn, but it is contaminating the environment. So with CiCLO, we're actually bringing a solution to the entire globe, if you will. Our business model is set up to where we produce the chemistry here in the US, and we also have a production facility in Asia, and we distribute it globally. So it is a platform available from Target Corporation to the highest fashion that you can think of. And truly, it is the most revolutionary thing that I have ever been a part of in my entire career. And Brett and I are certainly passionate about this. I think Brett sometimes beats me to it. He has passion for sustainable apparel. And I think, as an industry, we want to find solutions that make us better, that we can produce better, faster, more efficient, with less waste in a more sustainable way. And sometimes, guys, I think the word sustainability is overused. I think that we definitely have to be selective about what we choose to design with. And I'm thrilled to tell you that all of designers out there, can begin to design with CiCLO polyester fabrics. And anything that can be made out of polyester can contain CiCLO.
Polynylon.
And nylon as well.
With this new science, I'm sure you've had to do a fair amount of education to, bring brands up to the knowledge of what you can do. Have you had to encounter skepticism? How have you overcome, all of the questions about this brand new thing?
Yes. Oh, there you go. Okay. When you bring an innovation to the market, and really in our space, we've known about recycled polyester for 30 years. It is not new. But when it first came out, I remember there were articles where moms did not want to buy a blanket made out of recycled polyester and put their baby in this dirty bottle blanket, right? We've evolved. They weren't dirty bottles. They were cleaned up. But the same thing with an innovation like CiCLO. It is truly polyester. How can polyester biodegrade? I want to understand that, right? So we have taken the last 12 years to prove the science. We have really gone well beyond the to really bring a scientifically sound body of evidence then undisputably proves how it biodegrades. So we have testing that exceeds over 125 different biodegradation studies across 5 labs all over the world, including Bureau Veritas and Intertech, which are 2 of the, I would say, most renowned labs. And so to prove that, number one, it fully biodegrades, that it doesn't leave any microplastics behind, right? Because if you're going to biodegrade it to 80%, but then it remains in the environment in the form of microplastics, you haven't accomplished anything. So we have fully proven that out. And that has been the genesis, really, for us to go to a brand. I'm going to pick on, let's say, Target Corporation. They're one of our premier customers. And truly, Target does care about sustainability. It's really incredible to have an insight into the leaders of the organization and what they strive for. And so when you go to a big retailer or a brand, they're going to, poke holes and shoot at everything, at every part of the technology, and how have you proven this aspect and that aspect. So we really had to go
You had to
beyond
prove the science.
and prove the
Yeah.
science.
Yep, great, thank you. I'm going to move on to the future of customer and user experience. Caroline, where do you see the future of digital fashion and virtual clothing as a designer? And how do you imagine integrating this into your customer experience?
Yeah, so I actually have a vision for what I would like my website to look like in the future. I would love for my website to be an online seamless experience for someone who is online, let's say bridal shopping, right? And they would be able to plug in their avatar and be able to take my design and put it on them in virtual space and see how it looks like. Something that I know that I was just talking to Brett last night that I could start doing is just on my website, start offering my designs in 3D, right? And in different sizes. So I'm not just taking a picture of a model and it's just like a size 0, right? Which isn't always the, norm and average for the regular lady, right? So like I feel like this is just so, I mean, it's not just innovative, it's transformative. I think it's going to completely change the way that we shop, the way we dress. I mean, it's going to be pretty cool because as a designer, I know that I would be able to even show the way fabric moves. And I think that's a big thing for me is like the touch and feel, like kind of what Brett was saying, like designers really love to touch and feel fabric. And so the thought, oh my gosh, I can't see what it's doing, to be able to see that in virtual and see the way the fabric is moving would be able to help designers do all kinds of creative projects.
That's great. Garrett, how do you see digital workflows changing the expectations and samplings and approvals that are happening?
Well, I mean, I think it's, I would take a little bit off of what
Yeah,
you were
that's a
talking
good
about
thing.
and dovetail
Tag
into this,
on.
but I think the future of what, the future is today. I mean, it's what's happening now with AI is like exponentially changing how quickly things are evolving. But you'll have, we're already talking to customers where you'll have your virtual avatar. You'll be able to put it in there. You'll be able to drape it around a 3D form. So talking about what does the future of sampling and product creation look like, it will be taking a tool like Loop, plugging into your website, being able to try it on. We do have some amazing mathematicians and physicists working on this problem, so you can actually see how your legging conforms to your body. If you wanted to create a corset, how it shapes and supports you, a brace, where you're going to put those different structures. And you won't be a size anymore, right? It's you will have your own size. I mean, sizing came about in, was it the Civil War, where we had to mass produce clothing. So it's relatively new, right? But it's kind of changed the landscape of how we buy. But we can go back to, with the advancements of software and technology, and being able to actually see yourself in that product, you'll have effectively I guess, a version of like a Nike ID, right? And that will be you if you allow them to have that data set of yourself.
Are you
And
speaking about a digital twin?
correct.
Yes. Okay.
So, and yeah, your digital twin, you'll be able to dress, create, and make on demand.
That's great. Brett, let's talk industry stakeholders. There's a lot of people that need to come together to make change happen. What are your thoughts with regards to how do you foster greater collaboration between designers and developers and all the key stakeholders of the industry that need to come together to see forward progress?
Yeah, today it's actually happening, but it's not happening at the pace that I see it happening in the next few years. You know, the fashion industry for a long time, designers had their silo, and then you'd kind of cross over, and the little tech guy would figure out what the website glitch was or whatever, and then you'd walk back over and be a designer again. There was no real collaboration as needed. And today, more than ever, with technology, and we're hearing just a fraction tonight about what's happening in the fashion business and technology. But to foster these things, there's key main points. One, cross-disciplinary teams. At the beginning advent of that design of a collection, keeping tech in that conversation with the designers so that they can understand both avenues of that. Innovative hubs and labs, having designers and tech creating these things in centers where they're working together.
North Carolina.
We have.
Yeah.
There's a new one being sponsored by this group over here. Joint workshops and training. We're seeing challenges in the fashion industry, even with AI now, where designers have creative speak, if you will. AI doesn't understand that at all. You know, they talk in flowery language, and AI's like, what the hell are you talking about? So you're seeing this whole advent about agents that are helping translate creative functions. And so, you know, when you've got this joint workshops and training, you're able to train the deficiencies in the designer aspects and help bring the technicians to understand the designers a little more readily. Industry partnerships, partnering tech firms with fashion firms, creating smart textiles, innovative fabrics that are going on. Open innovative platforms. So we talk about, you know, open collaborations, community driven. I think that helps establish that whole thing. And then finally, mentorship programs, you know, helping develop the next generation of this kind of combined tech meets fashion.
Yeah, I get that. Cheryl, we are in a consumer-driven economy. Sustainability might be an overused word today, but it is something that is ever present in our minds, and consumers want to be a part of the solution. They also don't want to sacrifice cost. They don't want to sacrifice comfort. They don't want to sacrifice performance. How is CiCLO addressing this? Is it accessible? How does it support these goals?
Absolutely, it is. And we shouldn't have to compromise fit, feel, and fashion and how we feel in our clothing, right? We choose them because we identify with that article of clothing. With CiCLO, it was specifically designed for textiles. There's a lot of biodegradable technologies that came first for doggy bags, for plastic cups, for styrofoam, right? Those technologies were not suitable for textile. If you think about how much a textile has to be processed, jeans are indigo dyed, you know, they have to go through very high temperatures to any type of fabric that has a lot of spandex in it. It has to go through a heat set process. So none of these technologies could really survive the process of making a fabric. But CiCLO specifically was designed for textiles. So a product that's made with CiCLO is 100% as durable as one that isn't. It is also as functional. The dyeability isn't an issue. You can blend it with recycled polyester from either plastic bottles or chemically recycled polymers from textile waste. So it is in the form of an additive. So it can be blended with a lot of different polymer substrates to really create the function you need.
Don't really realize the difference, but
They will
they'll
not.
be helping our world.
That's right.
That's wonderful. I've got our final question for everybody here. What, adoption of new technology happens on a scale. You've got early adopters, people that are here, then you've got people that come along next and kind of help work out the kinks, and you've got the people that you kind of at the end of the game when everything's proven come into play. What advice would you give to fashion brands wanting to, step into some of these new technologies?
Yeah, I would say for sure. I have a saying here at Stars. You guys have heard it till your ears bleed: evolution, not revolution. Designers can be intimidated by technology. Proper technology eases process, eases things, and so they should be comfortable adopting technology. If you don't, because technology is moving so fast, you meet a point of revolution. Revolutions are bloody, they're painful. So adopting this whole evolution, not revolution, jump in. We had a conversation the other night with Browseware. Sharon's created Browseware University, accessible to designers to understand that, because unfortunately the education system is far behind because technology is moving faster than educators can implement, the curriculum to put it in. So technology is finding ways to educate. And I really think it's important for designers because it's not slowing down, it's speeding up.
In our business, I think progress over perfection. I think a lot of times we get hung up in finding that, that perfect state out there. There isn't. In the textile industry, it's absolutely been an evolution. I love that. And I think in a lot of cases, a lot of innovative technologies don't make it to a commercial place because there isn't the support of the brands. The brands sometimes want something to be fully de-risked before they're able to get themselves behind a new technology in the market. So progress over perfection.
Well, there wasn't a solution, so we went and built one, and that's what we're doing. And the goal is to make it accessible so everyone will be able to have access to it. It is one of the most exciting opportunities in the textile field. It is one of the most innovative spaces. I mean, it is the closest thing, I said it before, that you'll be able to 3D print a fabric. It is, it's unheard of to be able to do this, and it exists. It's just, it's not very accessible. So, and kind of on one thing, I think on the CiCLO polyester side, what's so important about, I find it really interesting is polyesters will never leave the industry. I think that I love wool. I love natural fibers. We're able to swap things out with our software to use sustainable fibers. But polyesters do perform at a level, or have the ability to perform at a level, that some natural fibers can't. And the fact that there is this option is really amazing. It's really interesting because you can take, if you look at all your performance footwear shoes, they're all made of polyester. Your midsoles, outsoles, those are all injection molded using some kind of foam or supercritical foam or something like that, which is a TPU, which is a poly-based, oil-based product. So, sorry, and then to bring this back to how do you like, as a new designer coming up? Well, Brett is 100% correct. Like, there's so much accessible at your fingertips now. You can learn yourself so much. Take a mentorship. We're pushing very quickly or very hard and to get our software platform out. But ultimately, I think there are a lot of amazing other entrepreneurs doing things like this in our space. So I think you just got to lean in. Maybe if it doesn't exist, there's a big opportunity. You'll end up doing something you didn't think you would do, right? I was a designer, never thought I'd be running a software tech company.
That is so cool. Yeah, I literally would research, for years to see if there was anyone out there that was caring about eco-conscious bridal clothing. Like, because you think about how much fabric and how much energy goes into making a bridal garment, especially if it's a really huge, gown. And it's so much waste to our environment. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but a lot of times, you're not reusing that bridal gown, right? I mean, maybe you'll hand it to a friend or a sister or your daughter later on, but you're not reusing this. So it bothered me so much because I would be making this stuff and I would be like, gosh, I'm so eco-conscious about stuff, and I'm like, I can't, offer my clients who want to be on the lower end, like, do they have, 15,000, 20,000 to spend on an all silk dress? Not always, right? So, in order to be competitive with, let's say, China manufacturers, like, you need to be able to offer dresses that are polyester made. So this is such a solution to the problem that I've had for so long of how do I make sustainable clothing that isn't, necessarily natural fiber. So this is CiCLO is amazing, and I'm so grateful to have met you.
That's all great advice. We are going to hang around, so if you have more questions, I know we could talk all night because there's just so much to learn in this space. Thank you all for being a part of this conversation. You're welcome to hang out, ask more questions. Thank you to all of our panelists for participating today and all of our sponsors. We do have a little something for our panelists for your participation today.
We just want to thank all of you for being here. We really appreciate it. So thank you very much for making the trip here.
Okay, there's more food, there's more wine, so please enjoy.